I'm sorry, the Spokane region. We're probably going to move. Actually, no, we're not, because this is where the Maryland.
Come on, we can do it.
Okay,
we can do
let's
it.
get to all right. Stanford, Montana State, Stanford.
Stanford.
Cool. Let's move to the bottom of the bracket. We're going to do it a little differently. We're going to go bottom up here. All right, Texas, Fairfield,
Texas, easy.
Yeah. Texas is awesome. This one's interesting. Utah, Arkansas. I think you know where I'm going on this, but I'd like to hear.
You're going with Arkansas. Yeah. You're going with Arkansas. I think no, but I definitely think they have the tools to get that win and to move on. I think that's another team that's under the radar, not talked about enough in terms of what they bring. So
wow, Utah earns a trip to the line on 21% of its 2-point attempts.
Wow,
that's crazy. That's really high.
That is high.
And they shoot free throws well. I think teams that rely too much on getting stuff at the free throw line. Do you agree with this? Actually, teams that get a lot from the free throw line without star players are actually at a disadvantage in the tournament just because refs tend to swallow their whistles more.
I don't know. I mean, I have been. I think I told you this when we first started the podcast that there was a game. I was coaching high school, and we were in the championship game, and we averaged about 20 attempts a game. We went to the line one time in the championship game, and it was on a fast break, and our kid got hammered on an anvil, and she made the shot. That was our only free throw all game. So there's a lot to be said for that, and it was unfortunate, and not that I'm bringing out the violence or anything, but it does happen where there are no calls in championship situations, and you just my kids have scratches across their neck, hair pulled out of their head, and this is what happens. But 21% is a lot.
It's
but
a lot.
if you have relied on that, and I think when you get to postseason and you're used to going 21% of the time, if you go 2% or 5% of the time, that's going to crush your overall production, which it did for us, and we ended up losing by like 5, I think 3 or 5 or something. So
this story may have informed this theory in the back of my head, because I forgot that you did tell the story one time.
I did tell that story, maybe more than once. That's irritating. But anyway, but go ahead. Arkansas
is they're one of my darling teams. They're one of the few teams though that play with a ton of pace and don't turn the ball over. So our stat, the Her Hoop Stats thing, you have to check it out in the newsletter. Only one team in the country turns the ball over less per possession than Arkansas. So they're second in that. They only turn the ball over at 13.5%. So that is good. They don't turn the ball over. They are pretty experienced.
And they shoot threes.
So I think they're good to make the second round over Utah. Okay, here LSU, Jackson State. I had Jackson State in one of my other brackets. I think my first impression one. I'm going with Louisville though. I mean, with LSU.
LSU. I mean, a 3-headed monster on the perimeter for them. I mean, come on. And I think, what did they win? Did they win 25 games this year? 25 and something?
I can tell you that. Oh,
right. I know it's more than 20.
25 and 5.
Yeah, there we go. 25 wins. I mean, it tells you something. And postseason is, yes, we're talking about free throw percentages and all that and getting to the line or not. This part of the season, your guards have to carry you, and not just their scoring ability, but their defense. Right. They have to be bringing it like that. And I think when you have Pointer and you have Morris and Cherry, I think those three right there, I mean, I wouldn't want to come down the floor with the ball in my hand and see any of them. So that's just what I'm saying. But I wouldn't want to see anyone because I couldn't really handle the ball well. So, but big picture for this year, for the tournament, I think that's what has them at an advantage. Their perimeter play.
I think I just wanted to see Kim Mulkey freak out in her whatever ridiculous sequence tiger shirt she's going to have on, because that was one of the highlights of the conference tournaments. Her having a complete meltdown while wearing a sequence tiger shirt in the SEC tournament against Kentucky. Just you can't write that stuff. You can't. That's a lot. So hopefully we get that in the tournament.
I'm not mad at her though. I mean, Tom Izzo can do it, without sequence and all that. Hey, Tom Izzo can do it. All these other guys can do it. And once, Kim Mulkey does it, it's like, and I'm not saying you're saying it like this, but I'm saying as soon as she does what she does, it's like, oh my God, she's out of control. No, oh my God, she has passion just like the dudes have passion, and let her live. Like, she loves the game the same way. Stop freaking out and categorizing and putting women in a box for having the same level of passion and energy and love of the game and integrity of the game, period. Okay. I just have to say that, because that's really irritating when there's a double standard for the display of passion in men and women, whether it be coaching or playing. I hate it. If you love the game the way you do. If you're intense about it, if you're Phil Jackson-esque, that's cool too. That's you. Do you.
Sure.
If that's how you choose to display your passion and level of whatever energy, then do that. You know.
And I just think it's hilarious. No matter who does it. Coaches, please freak out, because I'm here for it. And let me tell you, if I was a coach, I'd get kicked out like every third game. 100%, because I have no self-control. So I just find it hilarious. So please, Kim, never ever change on that front. Don't ever change. I'm just saying, it's very entertaining, and I'd like to see it again. So Jackson State, make it close. Amisha Williams is really good. So watch her. Okay, we have to move on. We have to move through.
Okay.
Ohio State versus Missouri State or Florida State. No shade to Missouri State or Florida State. I just don't think they're good enough to beat Ohio State, the Big Ten co-champions this year.
No. Ohio State has too much. And when I say too much, I mean, when you have JC Sheldon and Taylor Mikesell scoring almost 40 plus points a game combined. But also their defense this year has been on another level. Their 2-2-1 pressure is tough to crack. And that's why they won a piece of the regular season title with Iowa, their ability to defend. I mean, if they didn't have that piece of their game in terms of their ability to disrupt, they wouldn't have gotten that share of the regular season title. So, you know, kudos to Kevin McGuff and his team. And plus, I want to see Kevin do the gritty again. I called him out the other day and he tweeted back at me, which is, you know, I was surprised, but it was really funny. So they were like, I think Ohio State said we're going dancing or something. And I was like, we need a remix of the gritty that Kevin McGuff did. And he was like, no, we don't, ... And I was like, yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Hey, He's so funny. It was great. I loved it.
If they get through the Sweet 16, he absolutely has to do it. Okay, let's move up. We're gonna skip past the College Park region area for the moment. Kentucky and Georgia Tech. I got the Yellow Jackets of Georgia Tech. My wife. I had
Georgia Tech too. So. And what did you say at the end? I'm sorry, I thought you were
my wife went there, so I'm gonna pick that. I think Kansas is a lovely team, but I think Georgia Tech is I like them.
Was your wife standing behind you, like breathing down your neck when you were making that choice, or are you just going on that choice?
No,
I know you're a newlywed. You're still a newlywed. It's under a year, so
she knows I'm just gonna do whatever makes her happy. That's married. As I always say, I'm married for a reason, folks. I'm not stupid.
Happy wife, happy life. That's all I'm trying to tell you that.
And also, Tech has tournament experience. Raquel Kubai is going to be the best player on the floor in that game. And if she's healthy, we'll have to see, right? We'll have to see how healthy she is. She took a nasty bump on the chin, needed stitches. So we'll see how healthy she is, but I think she's going to be fully ready to go. And I think they will move on against Kansas, who is a very good team.
They are a very good team. I like Georgia Tech. You know, they were just sturdy in the ACC this year, and Nell Fortner. Nell, yes, right?
Nell on wheels.
Nell on wheels. Nell, yes. Like, I love it. Or Nell, yeah. Nell, yeah. That's what it is. Okay.
Nell, yeah.
I like it. Nell, yeah.
Okay, now let's get to the thing we've probably been focusing on the most, which is this College Park first and second round region. Shouts to Maryland for getting the 4 seed. Thank you, Terrapins. Terrapins? How do you say it?
Terrapins.
I call them. I mean, obviously they're the Terps, but the Terps get the 4 seed, allowing us to watch these games very close to home. We'll start with Maryland, Delaware. I think we know which way we're going. If you've listened to this podcast or looking behind Christy at the moment, we keep up with Maryland very closely. I'm going with Maryland. Do you agree?
I do.
Okay.
But I will say that Jasmine Dickey is a problem. And she just said that she was headed to the WNBA draft last night on Tuesday night. So she's from Baltimore.
It's gonna be low.
And the thing, and to Brenda Freese's credit, she's from Baltimore. Same with Angel Reese, right? They probably bumped past, who knows?
Oh, for sure.
Through high school, AAU, and all that stuff. But she was not that player.
No.
Years back. She has worked on her craft and it has gotten her game to where it is now. So she didn't miss out on this kid. Like, this kid put in the time and the work. And Jasmine is just a cold killer. She's so tough and in every aspect of the game. I mean, a double machine, another player who's going to give you a lot of activity on both sides of the ball, but they need more than that against a balanced Maryland team that has everyone back, an experienced Maryland team. I know they played, was it last season, and it was 99-55.
I'll
was it last season or the year before that? I know I've been jamming in all these nuggets in my head.
I want to say it was last season because I remember that happened. Last season? I remember that happened.
Early on. Yeah, I believe it was early, like November, December.
Maybe it was the year before.
Not this season, but previous season.
Yeah. Let me see. I think it might be 2009. Yeah, they played in 2019.
Oh, wow. So it was a couple of years
2 years ago. So, I mean, I bet you a lot of those players on Delaware are still on that team. At least I'll check it now. Jasmine Dickey was there. Lizzie O'Leary, who's a really nice high post passer, and they run a lot of their stuff through her.
They do.
Those two are on the team. I haven't checked the whole roster, but I mean, I'm sure there's fresh memories from getting their butts kicked by Maryland in Maryland. I think that will play in Delaware's favor. And the one thing I will say, because I'm going Maryland too. I told you with the idea of taking Delaware. The one thing that they really have to watch out for, and Maryland this year at times has looked a little loosey-goosey. They've looked a little unfocused at times, and we've mentioned that on this podcast before.
We did.
If they do that on the defensive glass in this game, they will lose, because Delaware is one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country. They're 6th in offensive rebounding rate. Maryland is 175th in defensive rebound rate.
Oh boy.
So and Jasmine Dickey in particular is excellent as a guard at getting to the right spot to keep sorry, I just got a text that there's a loose dog in our backyard.
Oh no.
It's probably fun. Not a big deal. But they really have to be focused on keeping Dickey in particular and Delaware as a whole off the offensive glass. And if they come in not focused, looking ahead, whatever, Delaware can win this game. So that's the one thing I'll say is Delaware is good enough to win this game. They're going to need some help from Maryland being unfocused and not boxing out. I expect Maryland to be good at that. Maryland to be good at that. And I expect Diamond Miller in particular to take some umbrage at this assignment with Jasmine Dickey, because I know there's gonna be a lot of people talking about Jasmine, and there's not gonna be a lot of people talking about Diamond. I hope Diamond takes it to heart and plays the best game that she can play, because she's certainly one of the best players in the nation. So she has to shut down Dickey, not only with the ball in her hands, but on the glass as well.
Absolutely. And for Diamond Miller in the tournament, only to have those 4 points. Yeah. And yes, it's not always about your scoring ability. She's going to have to score in this game. Yeah. She's going to have to be in double figures. Yes, she's going to do her due diligence defensively against Jasmine Dickey, but she also needs to score. They need her point production in this game. Same with Ashley Owusu. Yeah. They can't be, and I know Owusu had 17 or 19 in that game in the quarterfinals in the tournament. I get it. She needs to have an efficient offensive game as well. And yes, she had a lot of free throws in that game as well. But when you have a player like Jasmine Dickey who rebounds the ball like a freaking machine, I mean, in that game, I have it right here, 27 points and 18 rebounds against Drexel in the championship game. Come on. And she's 3rd in the country in scoring with 25 a game behind Caitlin Clark and Maddie Segrist of Villanova, right? I don't know. I just think that, like you said, there has to be some pride taken on the defensive end.
For sure.
But there also has to be some legit lock-in mentality. I'm going at you with no fear offensive production from all 5 starters from Maryland. All 5 need to show well in this game, and they need to leave no doubt. And for a team like Delaware, if they do take Jasmine Dickey away, who are the other players who are going to step up? And I know you said O'Leary, right? But she's
not super a scorer. Skinner's another player who can. She's really the only plus 3-point shooter. So she's the one that's gonna have to get loose, I think.
Yeah.
In terms of scoring, it's Dickey or bust. So she's gonna have to get loose. She's gonna have to get loose. Ty Battle's another one. She's
Ty Battle inside.
Yeah. So I don't. It depends what Maryland's gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
I think Maryland has to say though, like you're saying, you need a little bit of pride. Diamond, shut her down. Beat her on both ends. She wants to be this WNBA draft pick. She wants to get this attention right before you shut her down. That's what I would be if I was Brenda Freeze. I'd be preaching that all week, just saying,
yeah,
she thinks she's better than you. Show her that she isn't, and hopefully that'll get Maryland focused and ready to go. Because if they come into this game, I'm telling you, if they come into this game thinking about the next one or trying to move on, they're going to lose. They're going to lose.
No, yeah, they have to be focused, and I think, if anything, from that quarterfinal game, there were some situations and some moments in that game where they just were not focused. And whether that was on the offensive side or the defensive side, they just were not all the way there. And now to be 14-1 at home for Maryland this season, I think that is a huge advantage for them to be playing at home. Not only with the crowd and the momentum swings of games being behind them or with them, I think the confidence of knowing how well they have played at home should count for something for this Maryland team. And, 6th overall in the country and their strength of schedule. Mm-hmm. I just think they have some advantages there where they're battle tested. We were talking about that with other teams, but I think this Maryland team, they're battle tested. I mean, they've won 5 of the last 7 tournament titles in the Big Ten that send, 6 or more teams every season to the tournament.
I agree.
And 6 teams go this year. So it's a tough conference to play in. And when you can be a 4 seed nationally in the top 16, I mean, that says something as well in terms of expectations, but also ability. So now they need to go ahead and match those 2 things.
Yeah. And we'll see how healthy Ashley Owusu is. We'll talk a little bit more about Maryland in a second. Let's go over to the other side though. Yeah. Virginia Tech, Florida Gulf Coast is going to be the game of the tournament. I'm going to tell you that right now. I think this is the game of the tournament. You look at all the 4 factors. They're like super evenly matched. Virginia Tech's a bit better. I mean, Virginia Tech is substantially better on the defensive end than Florida Gulf Coast is. That being said, Florida Gulf Coast is a damn good team, and they run a very sophisticated 5-out motion offense. Mm-hmm. It is tough to defend. It is really, really tough to defend. I think, you mentioned, right, you heard Kenny Brooks, or did you talk to Kenny Brooks? And it's a nightmare to play this team. So I will make our pick in just a second, but I do want to hear what do you think of this matchup generally?
I'd love it. Number one, because I listened into a Kenny Brooks press conference after selection Sunday, and he was saying that, first of all, Florida Gulf Coast is not a 12 seed. Mm-hmm. He thought that was disrespectful for them. But he also thought that, the way that they played down the stretch, that they weren't quite deserving of a 5 seed. So, I mean, you can look at the whole thing, but they're in, and this is the matchup we have. But I think it's going to be really great to see 2 high-powered 3-point shooting teams. He said that they shot the most threes in the ACC this year. Virginia Tech did.
Yes, they did.
And then he looked at Florida Gulf Coast and what their stats were, and they shot 300 more threes than they did all season. So this is a team
first in 3-point rate, first in 3-point rate in the nation.
Wow. Okay. And it's like almost 1,100 attempts from 3 for Florida Gulf Coast. I mean, let's go. First of all, like you said, you got to be ready to guard that. And a lot of their threes come in transition. And Kirsten Bell is not playing around with you. She's going to be a 1st-round draft pick, transfer from Ohio State. Oh, yeah. She's a dog. She's a killer. And, they beat Michigan State earlier this season in overtime. And Nia Clouden had 50 in that game, but I digress. But I just think, they have the ability to wear you down. and they wear you down defensively too. And we're talking about their 3-point shooting prowess, but they wear you down with their defense as well. And they're going to bring that energy on that side of the floor. So, I mean, I think health comes into picture when we're talking about Virginia Tech, right?
Yeah, no, health definitely comes into the picture. I mean, I talked about this on the ACC tournament podcast. She got hurt. She got hurt in that UNC game, and it was crazy. And there's actually a time where Virginia Tech took the lead on a Georgia Amore layup, and they pan to the sidelines, and you see Kitley, who's like has her shoulder kind of tight into her, kind of pick up her arms, and just like throw it. She tried to throw her arms up, and she couldn't pick up her arms. So I don't know how healthy she will be. I assume she's going to give it everything she's got, and she's playing in this one. I can't imagine Kenny Brooks going to keep her out. But it'll be, if she's not 100%, then honestly, I think Florida Gulf Coast is maybe the favorite, because I don't understand how Florida Gulf Coast, and we'll get to Princeton, but I don't understand how those two teams are 11 and 12 seeds, or 12 and 11 seeds respectively.
Yeah.
Because FGCU's only losses this year are to Princeton, who is a really good team according to all the stats that we have, and Stetson, it's Stetson, but whatever, who cares? You're going to lose in conference once in a while. So I don't know. I mean, this team's just so good. I'm really, really excited. We want to talk about a shooter, Kendall Spray. 88 of 193 this season. That's 45.6%. And her name is Kendall Spray because she's spraying it from everywhere.
I love it. Hey, I mean, this team makes 11.8 threes per game. Florida Gulf Coast makes, not attempts. Like a lot of teams take that many threes or whatever like that. No, they make 12 threes per game. You have to be ready for that.
I agree.
They're going to be letting it fly. And Elizabeth Kitley, I know Kenny Brooks also said in the press conference after Selection Sunday that, he made the call that she did not play in their last game in the ACC tournament. And she was in tears because she knew what that game meant for the program and for seeding, right? Which is probably why they got the 5 seed, and a little disappointed in that. But it's because of situations, and it's because of their health in that in the ACC tournament. So when she got hurt, she tried to grind it out against North Carolina, came back in the second half. And, he said that he made the call because she would have probably tried to play in that last game in the tournament. She was really upset. And again, like we were talking about with Tennessee and Jordan Horston, you want to play so badly that you're going to play through pain and everything, but you don't want that to be a detriment to the overall result for the team either. You don't want to be taking away from the team because you're not 100% healthy. And that is such a grind for you mentally, because you know what you can do when you're healthy, right? And just to have that opportunity taken away, I know it really hurt. I mean, it stings to me just thinking about a coach saying, hey, you can't play in this game. Oh my God. Like, and I haven't played in years, but that sinks me in deep down. Like, I know that hurt her. So hopefully she's able to be as close to 100% as possible, because again, you don't want to take away from what the team is trying to accomplish either.
All right, let's make a pick. I'm going Tech. The fighting Kenny Brooks.
Oh man, I love Kenny Brooks. Man, I love him. He had a great run at JMU. I'm going with Carson Mesco and Florida Gulf Coast.
You know what? I'll change mine just for that.
I think they're going to upset them because I don't know about Kitley. I mean, she's the ACC player of the year. It's not like she's like a random player. Like, she is the key to their success. And if she can't be 100%, I'm giving maybe an overtime game, like they did with Michigan State. I'm saying overtime, Florida Gulf Coast.
There's not a lot separating these teams. So I think we go either way, and I like it. So we're going FGCU. All right, let's pick the second round. Let's stick here in this little Maryland region. We'll talk about Maryland versus FGCU. A lot of the same things we said still apply. I mean, the one thing is, I think in theory, Maryland should be better at switching than FGCU is. I mean, the one switch you're gonna have to watch out for is like Katie Benson getting on Kirsten Bell, but they can scram that probably. It depends. They're gonna be real. That's the thing with this one too. Maryland's got to be really, really tight on the defensive end against FGCU. I think Virginia Tech is one of those teams who I trust to do that. I'm just not sure if I trust Maryland to be that disciplined on the defensive end or be able to just switch every single pick or cut that they have.
Yeah, I think what Maryland has done in the last 2 seasons, when they have changed they've overhauled their defensive schemes to kind of the Texas Tech way of playing on the men's side, which is switch everything and gamble with that. Like you said, they have to scramble out of mismatches. They have to do their best to shade and stay attached, especially to the 3-point shooters for Florida Gulf Coast. So I think that's going to be intriguing to see if they can do that. But I like their chances. I like their chances with it. And I think that's going to be interesting to see. I mean, they're not a stranger to Bell because she was at Ohio State. So they have kind of a personnel read on her already because they physically have competed against her before. So I think that's an advantage. But I also think the overhaul of Maryland's defense is going to be an advantage in this game.
I just realized that scram means scramble. I always thought it was like the big telling the guard to scram. Get out of here. That made a lot more sense to me.
It's the same deal.
No, it's the same deal.
Thing,
it's just
scramble
makes a lot more sense. This is your daily reminder, guys, that I am just a little dumb.
No.
I am. It's fine. I don't mind. Let me see what she did against Maryland. It's the only thing I want to see. What Bell did against Maryland. She had 5 points and she had 6 points. So in the conference tournament, she had 13 points against Maryland. 13, 6, and 5 against Maryland. So that's her most recent experience against Kirsten Bell. So I'm confident picking Maryland here. Are you confident picking Maryland?
I'm going Maryland there. Yeah. I'm going with Maryland.
But we'll see. I mean, because again, though, like FGCU, one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the country. So if they just get hot and Bell stays out of foul trouble, and Maryland or Virginia Tech, they don't have a great strategy against her, like FGCU could totally make it to the Sweet 16.
It'd be a problem. Yeah.
And they're very, very, very underseeded. So that's our little Maryland talk there, and we will be there. So make sure you keep up with us on Twitter.
We'll be there.
Okay, let's pick the rest of the Spokane round of 32. We got Stanford, Georgia Tech. I mean, I like Georgia Tech, but Stanford.
Stanford. Yeah. And I love them too, but yeah, Stanford. They're just solid defensively. Like
they're so solid all around. And it's just like, it's such a different offensive system that you're not going to be able to prepare, especially as a 9 seed, because you're going to come into that 8-9 game really prepare, and then you have to show up against Stanford. And I'm not sure how easy that's going to be to adjust to their offense. So we got Stanford and Maryland in one game in our Sweet 16 in the Spokane region. We have Ohio State, LSU in the round of 32. I'm just going to say it. I picked Ohio State. I think Ohio State's a better team.
Okay. Ohio State.
Oh, no. Did you not want to go with Ohio State? We don't have to.
No, I like it. I mean, no, I just, we were talking about teams going on droughts sometimes. I mean, Ohio State, sometimes if they can't make their shots, they can't press, right? And that's the thing, like we were talking about the defense, the 3-headed monster on the perimeter for LSU. How disruptive can they be to Ohio State? And if Ohio State can't score, they can't press. That's what's in my head. Those are the wheels.
Can I give you one stat? Just one.
Yes.
Stat.
Help me.
LSU in free throw percentage, 309th in the country.
Wow.
309th.
Wow. Out of what? 320?
56. 356. Also, and this is something I need to dig into this more. But opponent shooting from 3-point, teams are shooting 34.7% from the 3-point line against LSU. It's 330th in the country. There's a lot of shooting luck in 3-point percentage. I'm not saying there isn't, but typically when you're that bad, that means there's something happening with your closeouts or your scheme. And you know what Ohio State does really well? Shoot the 3. Yeah. So that's kind of my thinking there.
I hear you. I'll go with Ohio State if they could, they've got to make shots.
They do.
That's my contingency. Like, you got to make your shots so that you can apply pressure on the other side. But if those shots aren't falling, my dears, that's going to be stressful.
I think enough of those shots will fall. I think it's gonna be a stressful game regardless, but I think enough of those shots will fall.
I agree.
Texas, Arkansas, an old school rivalry here at the bottom of the bracket. I love Woo Pig Suey, the Fighting Mike Neighbors. Really appreciate them. I think they're a good team. Texas will move it on there.
Texas. And plus, I want to see the rematch in the next round.
Texas Ohio State play? Oh, no.
No, like next.
Oh, that's two. Okay, well, that's Sweet 16. Wow, we may have an update.
I know we're way ahead, but I mean, that's why I want them to get that one and then move on. I told you my bracket was based upon what I want to see. So I want to see a rematch between Texas and Maryland. Since they ousted Maryland last year in the Sweet 16. So Texas moving forward.
I want to see a rematch between Texas and Stanford from that game earlier this year. We'll get to that when we talk to the Sweet 16 on our next podcast, which is surely going to be because we're already in an hour 30 minutes, and we're all right. Moving back up to the Spokane region. Here's where we're going to have our big disagreement. Well, let's do Texas, Ohio State first. I think we both have Texas.
Texas.
Yeah. They both press. It'll be super fun.
Huge. And they're huge. I think their size gives them the edge.
Oh, yeah. No, I really like Texas. I think Roy Harmon, we talked about teams not being afraid. I think she might be the least afraid of anyone as a freshman. She comes in and she's just like, yeah, I'm doing this. I think there's one of those players that rises up to the moment. I think that team rises up to the moment. I think they're really well coached. So the Ohio State's great. And they do have a chance there, but we're going Texas. Okay. Back up to the top. Stanford, Maryland. Give me the case. Tell me how Maryland beats Stanford.
With their consistent focus, I think they have to play their best basketball because of how strategic Tara Vanderveer is with her chess pieces and her box, but also Brenda Frese. I mean, Brenda Frese is super, strategic as well and tactically sound. We've seen that, but I think the application of the game plan will be a key factor with Stanford and Maryland. And I don't know, I'm just thinking about it out loud and, alumni status notwithstanding here, obviously, I think that Stanford has been the most disciplined of the two teams this season. And not to say that the strategy wasn't correct. The application of the strategy has been consistently displayed by Stanford. And I'm sorry to say, I can't say the same about Maryland. And that's not a shady thing. That's just a direct observation. But that's the difference.
I mean, it's better.
I said it.
I believe I said on the Ion College Basketball podcast that Maryland does not play defense, which is not true. That's not true. That was me being for dramatic effect. They do play some defense, and they've gotten much better throughout the year. They certainly have gotten much better throughout the year. I do think the discipline thing you brought up, though. Here's the thing, right? All right, we've said this before. There's not many teams in this country that have as much talent as Maryland does. Stanford is one of those teams, but I still think, Ashley Owusu, Diamond Miller, and Angel Reese make up probably the strongest trio you could make up out of any of the players here. I mean, the Cameron Brink, Haley Jones, Lexi Hall would be your other one on the other side. And I don't think Hall is as good, is in the same category there. So, I mean, if they can get one thing, they have to do is they're going to have to get Cameron Brink into foul trouble. And Angel Reese is really good at that. Angel Reese could definitely do that.
She could do that.
There's the other side of like, well, does Tara even let Brink get onto Reese? And then how are you getting Brink onto Reese if you're not doing that? Because that's what I would do if I was Vanderveer. I would say, Brink, don't get near her. Just cover someone else. Just cover. They have shooters that stand on the side. Like we'll give up some stuff on the defensive end to have you in the game. I don't know. I'm just with you. I just think Stanford is so disciplined and they run their offense so well, and they figured it out. They figured it out late in the season how to run it and not have to have that point guard presence that they had last year. And Haley Jones has developed her distribution so much this year. I have a lot of trouble picking Stanford. I do think Maryland has a good chance though. So are you picking Maryland?
I want to. I know Candace Parker picked Maryland. You know,
really?
I saw her bracket.
So they
I don't
did.
know if she picked them over. I don't know if she picked them over Stanford though, but I know she picked them like throughout. It's so tough because I want to. You know, I want to choose Maryland here because I know at their best they are tough to stop.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the lack of consistency to me that steers me towards Stanford because they've been more consistent with their execution. I'm going with Stanford.
Oh no. Yeah, no, I'm going with Stanford too. I think if we got to see the first 2 rounds before we pick this game, so maybe next week, maybe next week we'll change our minds, but I just can't do it yet without seeing Maryland have that full discipline and focus on the defensive end, or just be bonkers offensively, because that's the other option for them. Maryland can just say, you know, we'll play the same defense we played all year, but you're not going to be able to stop us once Katie Benson gets going, once we have our shooters going. If everyone's making shots for Maryland, they're impossible to stop. Impossible.
That's what I'm saying.
I just have to see. We have to see it first, and unfortunately, we have to make our picks before the tournament. So I'm with you. I think your reasoning sound, honestly, but we'll see. And it should be mentioned that Stanford did beat Maryland earlier this year in the Bahamas by 18 points. I don't think that's a fair representation of Maryland, though. No Diamond Miller, no Katie Benson. They were very hurt.
And no Faith Masonis. Wasn't she injured too? They had 6 players in that game. Owusu had 30, but she also had 4 fouls at halftime and stayed in that game. I mean, I believe it was that Stanford game. It was one of the 2 games they lost down there, NC State and Stanford for Maryland. But they had 6-7 players.
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
no, it's not a good representation.
It's not an excuse. It's the reality of that situation was they were not on full blast.
And it's not predictive. So I don't know. We'll talk more about Maryland and Stanford. Hopefully it happens. God, please make that happen. Because that is a game that is circled on my calendar. Let's move on to the Elite 8 in the Spokane region. We got Stanford versus Texas. So we agree on the 2 teams here.
Yeah.
Texas did straight up beat Stanford. Both teams were healthy. And that was on November 14th. Take it with a grain of salt because Stanford hadn't figured out those point guard issues that I had mentioned earlier. They weren't quite as disciplined. They weren't quite as ready to run the system like they are running it now.
Yeah, true.
That being said, Texas also got much better throughout this season. They've gone. They had a young team and they had to gel and they had a few transfers. Aaliyah Matharu had a huge game in that one. Now she's only gotten better with her team.
Right.
I don't know which way to go here. So you can pick first.
Oh gosh. I have to pick. Give me some stats.
Okay. Let's look at some stats.
Please.
I mean, Texas. I don't know how much stats are predictive at this point. Because at this point, we're gonna be picking, splitting hairs. It's not like in the first round where these teams are really gonna have.
Oh, it would be a big difference. Yeah.
It's like these. You can point to 3-point rate of Texas. Texas's 3-point rate is super low, so they're gonna have to get in the paint a lot. And Stanford's excellent at guarding teams in the paint. If you want to, here, let me look up their opponent shooting numbers here. So their opponents, they don't score a lot from 2. They are 3rd in the nation opponent 2-point percentage, which you have less shooting luck involved there than you do at the 3-point line.
Mm-hmm.
So Stanford's strength defensively is also Texas's strength offensively. So it's going to be whoever wins about. I think my initial reaction, my gut reaction is that Stanford is just a better basketball team.
Yeah.
But if Texas starts making shots, then you have to play with the press. And how's the press going to affect everything? Are you running? Are you turning the ball over? Can you maintain your stamina that long? How in shape are you? Where's your conditioning at this point in the year? How tough was that game against Maryland? Right? Like that's the other thing. Is like, how tough was this game? If this Maryland Stanford game goes into double every time they got to play Texas press, I'm taking Texas. Everything being equal, I will go with Stanford is the bottom line.
I hear you. And I think Stanford too. I think, and I was saying earlier about just the discipline. I mean, they have that. Mm-hmm. I mean, they toe the line with expectations, integrity of the game plan, and application. And that's the coach's dream, number one. Okay. But I think Tara Vanderveer, just coming off of that championship last year, after the huge gap, was it 29 years in between?
Yeah, something like that.
But several Final Fours in between that big gap. But the fact that she has the ability to continue to mentor and continue to mold what she wants from her team and the pieces of the team, I'm going with Stanford there.
Yeah. So, but then two things we should bring up. Horns up. We're gonna go. I mean, one is Stanford fouls a ton. Shouts to Cameron Brink. So, I mean, there's another opportunity there to put Cameron Brink on the bench. She fouls a ton. She's an amazing.
She does foul a lot. She has 4 fouls a game.
She's an amazing
3.5 fouls a game. Yeah.
Amazing basketball player. She just fouls a lot.
She does.
The second thing is Stanford has struggled with their free throws. And we've seen that come up in this tournament before. So
true.
I don't know. It could be very well be a situation where those two things come into play. And if that does happen, then Texas can win. But we're both picking Stanford out of the Spokane region, defending champs, going to the Final Four yet again to defend their championship. Let's get to our Final Four picks. We don't have to spend as much time here because it's just so speculative. We don't know who's going to be here. But South Carolina, Louisville on one side. I'm going South Carolina. No offense.
South Carolina.
Yeah.
Same.
They're the best team. They've been the best team.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk
just
about
have it. They just have the it factor.
All right. On the other side, we have Stanford, Indiana. This is an awesome matchup. Again, I just think Indiana's top 5 can match up with anyone in the country. I think they're extremely disciplined. All of the things we said about Stanford still apply. Get them to foul trouble or get them on the free throw line. And Indiana has a good advantage there. I'm still going to go Stanford, though. I just think the way they play basketball is beautiful and extremely difficult to guard, even if you have a week to prepare for it.
I'm going Stanford as well. I just think their consistency factor, again, comes through for me. I think they just play the right way on every play. And not that Indiana doesn't, but I think it's on every play. I think at this point of the season, when you're in the Final Four or the Final 2 or whatever, it comes down to who's going to make the least amount of mistakes.
Yep.
Okay. And I think that's Stanford. And that's why I'm going with them.
They played earlier this year. That was a 3-point game. Ooh, I get to watch tape of that game. Ooh, that'd be fun. And also, I just thought they don't have Indiana as good as Mackenzie Holmes is. She doesn't have an answer for Cameron Brink. So if Cameron Brink can stay on the floor in that one, they're moving on. Okay, so that we have our national championship, and it's a rematch of last year's Final Four barn burner between South Carolina and Stanford. It is wonderful. Aaron Barzilai brought this up on our Eye on College Basketball podcast that, this is the rivalry that I think a lot of fans want to see develop more and kind of knock out, break UConn's hold over this sport and create a new rivalry that we can ride with for the next few years. So you got South Carolina, Stanford in the national championship. I'm going to be honest, straight up. I think Stanford wins this game. I think Stanford, because they got so close. They got so close to being South Carolina in South Carolina in a real home game.
Yeah.
I think they're really difficult to stop. As I've mentioned before, many, many times, I think they're just ready for that challenge. I think I think Haley Jones is going to be very difficult for South Carolina to stop. And especially on a quick turnaround. It's another thing here that we have to remember, because you're not going to be looking ahead to the national championship when you're preparing for the Final Four.
Right.
I think Stanford gets them. I think Stanford gets them. And also, this is another value pick. If you want to be, super nerd about it, this is a great value pick because, as we all know, the national champion pick counts the most out of all of the picks you're going to make. And the vast majority of people will be picking South Carolina because they've looked like the best team in the country all year. And I think it's closer. I think it's closer than people will expect. So I would go with Stanford just as a value pick to see if you can get those points over other people in the Final Four. But that's not what we're doing in this podcast. I just wanted to mention it as a value play. But what's your analysis here, South Carolina, Stanford, as we sit here, 4 weeks before this potentially happens?
Honestly, 4 weeks ahead. I feel you. I just think in my mind, when you said matchup, a rematch between South Carolina and Stanford, the picture that came in my head. Yeah. Aaliyah Boston's face when she missed that putback to advance them to the championship game last year. Dude,
Yeah.
I can't get that out of my mind, number one. And number two, she's not gonna let that happen again. I think she's gonna have.
It's fair. I think it's a fair point.
She's gonna have like a 50 piece or something like that. Like she's just gonna be unleashed. I don't know, man. I just think that counts for something when you lose the year before and you have the opportunity not only to be in that pretty much same position, but to be playing the same team that you lost to with basically the same players on the court. Man, I'm going South Carolina.
All right. Let's go South Carolina. We're going South Carolina.
I'm going South Carolina just because of that face. Like I can't unpaint that picture in my mind of Aaliyah Boston coming up short, man.
And she's treated that like all of us have treated a bad breakup in the past. Like she overhauled her body, got herself in more shape. She's been breathing fire all year long. And she's been telling everyone that she's like cool, but like deep down, we know that she's been dying, chomping at the bit to play Stanford.
She wants to run it back, honey. She wants, and all of them do, but especially her. And when you have your key cog feeling that way, it trickles down. Dawn's going to have them ready, for a repeat. I just can't count them out. So I can't walk. I'm definitely not. Other things I've been able to walk myself away from. I'm not walking myself away from that. I just think it's going to be too much mental toughness from South Carolina on that game and the emotion of the redo or rematch. I think that's going to carry them over, and it will be close. It's not going to be some blowout situation. I think it'll be within 10 points or less.
All right.
5 points or less.
So we actually do have to do a final score prediction. What I have is just like generic 74-68.
Oh my God, I had 70-69 South Carolina. Well, I did 1 point. I gave a 10-point grace, 10-point grace, but I did on my bracket online this morning, actually, I said 70-69 South Carolina over Stanford.
All right. I think this is good. I think it's gonna be better than my bracket was last year when I was in the 22nd percentile. Or no, yeah. That's what it was. I was in 22nd percentile.
I didn't even know what I was. So I'm sure
it was real bad last year. I think I know. I really worked hard to not do that this year.
Good.
That being said, we'll see what happens because there's often times where you should not listen to me. Picking brackets, I get a little ahead of myself. Okay, so we picked the entire bracket. It only took us 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Oh my God, it took us 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah. I actually need to get lunch. We got so into it that I forgot to eat.
Same.
Yeah, let's so I think that's it. We'll talk about the all American teams later.
I saw that.
Maybe we could do that in person. Our first in-person Courtside podcast.
I know. I can't wait.
Maybe we can do that when we are in College Park. We will be there from Thursday until Sunday, literally all day. I think we're there all day, right?
Yeah, all day Thursday for the practices, press conferences. I can't wait for that. Just to get to hear from the coaches and the players. That's always fun.
I'm super excited. But yeah, that being said, we do need to move because now I got hungry now that we're ending this podcast. So.
No, I'm starving now.
Christy, wrap us up. Get us out of here.
Yeah, let's send us out of here. Hey, we don't have to go home, but we need to get some lunch and we got to get out of here. But listen, oh my goodness, we're going to be courtside all NCAA tournament long for you right here on Courtside with Christy and Gabe on the Her Hoop Stats Podcast Network. For Gabe Ibrahim, I am Christy Winter Scott. We will see you next time.